This presentation is about RVD modules. Modules are, you use modules when you want to separate your logic, your application logic in different parts. For trivial application, obviously, it's not required. Also, keep in mind that whatever can be done with modules can also be done without them, generally speaking. I mean, you could stuff all functionality in a single module by dragging the verbs over here, implement several menus with several collect verbs, and use hang up or redirect. Redirect is not yet implemented though. Anyway, and you could use hang up verbs between them just to provide the flow you want, but the result won't be much user-friendly or understandable. So what we do for that is that we use modules for any, let's say, we just differentiate logic and encapsulate in a separate module. Generally, module starts with doing some, let's say, output. It uses say and play verbs and usually ends with a collect step. I usually call this instantiated verbs step. So this is a say step and this is a collect step that corresponds internally to a gather verb. Okay. So for our case, we have a sales and support department. I'll just borrow the concept from the old presentation. We have an application that starts with a welcome message, something that tells him that the caller is in the main menu. This is the main menu. Anyway, and let's see this collect step, how it works. So collect steps are usually can be used for two things. First, they work as a menu, which means according to the input feedback from the caller, it can direct him to either one or another destination module. So if the user presses 1, he'll be directed to sales. If he presses 2, he'll be directed to support. And of course I have to prompt him to type a message. Please type 1 support, type 1 for support and 2 for sales. Okay. So what happens here, that if he presses 1, he goes to the support module where he hears the message. This is support. And if he presses 2, he'll be redirected to the sales module. This is sales. Now, if he presses something that's just a sec. Since this is a menu, it would be nice to restrict the number of digits. Okay. If he presses something invalid, for instance 3 or 4 or anything else, the collect action, this step will run again. So he will hear again, please press 1 for support, and he will have to type something again. Now, if he doesn't press anything and he just waits until the collect timeouts, then execution will continue to the next step. Since there is no step, application will hang up. Just keep in mind that modules have a close bond with RCML logic. So generally speaking, each module is actually bound to a, let's say, actually corresponds to an RCML block, and so it is governed by the same rules that affect RCML, which means that these steps are executed the one after the other, and if there is nothing, application hangups. Okay, now let's go to the sales department, or better, let's see the support first. What we will try to implement here is first present the user menu to either be connected to an engineer or return back to the main menu, just to make it a little more complex. So since there will be an option and we need some input from the user, we'll use a collect action. In this case, this is a menu 2, so digit press 1, press 0. If you press 0, we want to get back to let's say to the start, to the first module, and if you press 1, we want to dial something. We'll see how we can do this, but first we'll add some prompt for the user. Press 1 to get to talk with one of our engineers. Press 0 to return to main menu. Okay, so returning seems okay. Now, in order to dial, we could just put this verb over here. Let's type here the fixed extension of our engineer, and as a target we have to specify support step 16 dial. As you can see, step 16 is this. This is a dial step, so we choose this here. Okay, it's mostly ready. But if their user doesn't type anything at all, and the collect timeouts, then what will happen is execution will after the collect will continue to the next step, and in this case we'll have a dial step, so it will dial the engineer all the same. So what we need to do is just take this hang up verb after the collect, so application stops. Okay, so there's another slight detail. As you can see here, if he presses 0, he will return to the welcome module. That's not exactly what we're going to do, because since the name of the module generally has been specified, it will start from the beginning, so it will welcome the user once more. That's not what we had in mind. So we could instead of choosing generally a module, you can specify a step inside this module. So in our case, I think returning to the main menu informational message is fine. So step 10, let's see it here. Okay, so if the user presses 0, he will return to step 10. This is the main menu. Okay, that seems acceptable. Since this is a menu, it would be nice to restrict the number of digits to 1. In case he enters invalid input, the same prompt will be played again, and the capture process will start from the beginning. Okay, that seems to be it. So I'll just hit save.